Welcome to the Powerful Comicsman podcast. This is Jerald Dorado, and we are continuing once again the 40 Life Wisdom at 40 series. We are now on number 32. And again, before we continue, let me just tell you about our little online bake shop, Miyucha Lux Cakes. Check us out at hello.miucha on Instagram and Facebook. That's at HELLO.MIUCCIA. We have the best desserts, pastries, cakes, even wedding cakes. And that goes for vegan or non-vegan. Even non-vegans will say these are the best treats that you can get online. And also, this podcast, this entire series, is available on www.comicsman.com slash 40 life wisdom at 40. If you are um, following the series, all of the episodes are there. We're still counting until 40 to my 40th birthday, which is the point of all this of this project. Okay. And yeah, visit that page. All right. At number 32, aim to outdo only your best. Okay, so that's just another way of saying it. I just didn't want to word it the way they normally do. It's just it's but it's this is just don't compete with others, compete only with yourself, or your best competition is your latest work, something like that. And this is a cliche that you have heard tons of other motivational speakers have said. But just like you, or maybe this is the first time you're hearing this, diba? Why not? But if you have heard this before, um, I can't I can't ignore this wisdom. This has to be included here. I was actually thinking of replacing it with more original thoughts, but you just can't. This is an essential idea that you need to realize, and without this, the series will not be complete. Realizing that your only competition that is worthy of your time and effort is yourself is is a turning point to any person's lives. That realizing that the pressures that come from outside does not mean that much to you if you have a solid vision of what you want to do, and that uh, freeing yourself from uh, from the tortures of of expectations of of other people, whether it's your parents, whether it's your friends, or anybody special who you think has a say in your life. That is freeing. Being able to accept that, being able to accept that you are the master of your fate. These are all connected with that simple phrase that you have heard over and over again. I've said it many times in the series. These cliches, they are cliches for a reason. Okay, as boring as they might sound to you, as repetitive and annoying even, they work. That's why they're cliches. That's why people repeat them, and that is a trick, maybe the devil's trick, to make you not um, take it seriously since it's been repeated by many people. But for whatever it is, I'm here to tell you that that the only if you want to improve, the only sure thing or sure way for improvement, the only path that is worthy of taking towards personal improvement is using your past self as a baseline, as a guide. As an artist, this is easier to understand. Just try to outdo your last drawing, diba? Make a better than your last drawing. Make a better drawing than your last drawing. I don't think it can get as any simpler than that, because your last work, you already know what it is. You already you have already done it. Then just improve on it. Whatever mistakes that you encountered when you do when you when you did that drawing, whatever mistakes that impeded you, uh, avoid it in your next attempt. And with it, also, of course, learn new things. Keep learning while because that's the thing. You compete with yourself, but you have to stay sharp. You have to add new skills, because you will not be able to improve your past work without new skills. And the thing is, you will never run out of skills to learn. You will never run out of new ways to do certain things. And whatever works for you, it's not gonna be wrong. If it works, then how will it be wrong, right? As long as it's not illegal, then then, then we're all good. Diba? Maybe if you're applying this for your business, but um, that is why it's easier for business people to be richer, because once they have made a business successful, it's so much easier to create a new business. And they would already know the hurdles, the mistakes that they would need to avoid on their new venture, diba? That's why they would just you just see that they just get richer and richer. They just know already. They learned from their last project, the same way that you can learn on yours. And whatever venture you might want to get into, whether it's art, business, uh, relationships, parenting. I know this is not easy, but or yourself, your confidence, diba? Um, it might this might need the the life lesson number 20, life wisdom number 20, forgiveness, forgiving yourself, allowing yourself to try to 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 have a second chance. Maybe that's what you need, so that you could outdo your failure. not fail harder. Okay, what I mean is reverse the failure. I check out uh, Life Wisdom number 20 for more of that because that's an extensive topic. Okay, that's we can't repeat that here. But you need to. Bottom line is you need to forgive yourself, your parents, the people who mistreated you, your former lovers, those things, the four people that you need to forgive. And maybe that's one thing, or maybe you lack the confidence, you lack the character, you lack the self-belief. You think you're unworthy. You think you are unworthy to be better. You think you're unworthy. If you're an artist, you can never be as good as your idols, whether it's Jim Lee or Alex Ross or Frazetta, whoever. You think their skills are far beyond what you can achieve in your life. But of course, these are the people I mentioned are legends. There will never be another Frazetta, another Jim Lee or Alex Ross. But you can be you, who is just as great, and you can. The thing with belief, self belief, is whether you think you can or you can't, you are both correct. If you think you can't do something, you think you cannot learn how to improve your drawing anymore, that's it. Whatever you have right now, then that is true. Because probably you're gonna stop learning and you're gonna stop practicing and you're just gonna repeat the same old process that gives you the same results that you are not happy with. But if you believe that with the right research and the right amount of enough amount of practice, you can still improve and be better and be as good as you possibly can, then you are correct too. There is no such thing as wishing greatness to happen in a snap. Genies aren't real. You would need work. You would need patience. You would need character. You would need discipline. You would need everything that I'm mentioning uh, in this uh, in this series. A little bit of everything. Okay, I'm not perfect myself. A lot of the things that I've mentioned here, some of them I'm better at. Some of them, but and some of them I actually suck. I could be really lazy sometimes. I could be really, I don't know. I'm not defeating. I think those are my strengths. I think positively. I have my confidence is intact. But in terms of pushing myself to my my absolute best, I still think I lack tremendously on that aspect. And those are things that I'm working on. Don't by any stretch of imagination think that I'm writing this because I have I have perfected this. If you're listening to this, you're probably having the same problems, the same struggles. And again, knowing yourself, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? These are essential to to learning how to improve yourself. So, most likely, don't focus more on the things that you need to improve. If you're already good in, let's say, drawing cartoons, or drawing, let's say, drawing the face, okay, and you still suck in drawing the feet or the hands. If you're gonna avoid drawing the feet and the hands, and just keep drawing faces, then you are settling in a comfort zone, and the improvement is not gonna be available for you. And so those things, knowing yourself, having confidence, and the the other the most important part is that not is thinking or relieving yourself with the thought that you are beholden to anyone else's expectations. Of course, people will not. You will not be able to control the the people are gonna talk about you. Okay, if you matter, then people will talk about you. It's better when people talk about you than no one talks about you at all. That's gonna be a problem too. That means nobody cares. And but it's okay if your confidence is intact. You don't, or if it's maybe you're an introvert and doesn't want the attention. That's a possibility too. But what I'm saying, I'm talking about caring here. Okay, because sometimes people care in a not even, I would even dare say, in the wrong manner, diba? Kasi sometimes there would be parents who think they know better than their kids. Would They would insist on them doing something that they think is better, instead of allowing uh, a kid pursue their own lives and passions. Diba? That's a very common thing that happens between parent and child relationships. And these would set expectations from your children. They would want to crave for your approval, diba? Or you want there are kids who there are people, old people, who never got their parents' approval, and it caused them pain, anguish, uh and well, because if you do not have that, that would definitely sting to any person. But there are people who can manage it, if they can forgive their parents for not giving it, or they really failed, or forgive themselves from failing, diba? Kasi sometimes your parents can are willing to give it, except you really don't deserve it. It's either of the two. Either your parents are don't want to give that assurance to you, or you did not deserve it. Fuck. Right? So which one is it? So either way, you either need to forgive your parents, or you need to forgive yourself before you move on. And now you would also learn to detach yourself from the pressures of I don't know, maybe anyone, society, family, your friends, or you want to maintain a certain image that you really are not, diba? You are pretending to be someone else because you want to be accepted, and projecting a false best. So I suppose this will also apply. Be be truthful to who you are. Be Know exactly who you are. Self-awareness, and learn to love who you are, or I don't know, just learn how to put value in what you do. If you think it is valuable, you think a passion is worth fighting for, then fight for it, diba? And have pride. Do not compete with other people's plans. With the your metric for success is not other people's, because comparison is the thief of joy, diba? That's another thing that they say. Comparison is a thief of joy. You have already, let's say, you already finished a project. You already have a business. Finally, you've been poor all your life, and finally you got to save enough money to buy, or to set up a business, or let's say buy a car, diba? So you get to buy uh, a regular sedan, and then you're and then you see a neighbor or your sibling buy a new car too, which is better than yours. Maybe an SUV, or yung sa'yo hindi top of the line, yung kanya top of the line. Alam mo yun? And then all of a sudden, instead of you celebrating your achievement, then you are that that celebration will be replaced by fury, by envy, by I don't know, disdain. So your the joy that you had, and that you've been wanting to feel for a long time, was stolen from you, diba? And who can you blame? You only have yourself to blame for that, diba? If you can draw I know a lot of artists who used to draw, and then they see they have decent drawings. Not the best, of course. You're gonna have to improve, especially when you're younger, diba? Don't expect to draw like Alex Ross in your teens, at least for most people, diba? Of course there are exceptions. May mga 10 years old pa lang galing na talaga ng mga realism. But it also gets complicated. Maybe you're not into realistic styles of drawing, diba? Your your forte is stylizing the figures, the images. So again, that is knowing yourself. If uh if it's about music, don't compare yourself to the legends. And I've known artists who have committed that mistake, compared themselves to people who are far more accomplished than them, who had spent more time practicing, and then they lose it. They lose interest because they feel defeated when there's no competition to begin with. Diba? The better artist, the one that they were insecure about, they didn't care. They didn't even know that you were feeling that way. And then you give up a passion, you give up a dream. So don't 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 make that mistake. Okay, and again, take responsibility from if you're not satisfied by the results of what you're doing, whether it's music, art, then you would have to make an assessment, an honest one. Are you doing enough? Are you researching? Are you learning new things to do things differently? Are you practicing enough? Do you have the right materials? These are things that can affect your work. And comparing comparing your achievements to others is a defeating practice. It's harmful. It's comparing yourself all the time is, to me, that is a mark of insecurity. It's different if you can turn that insecurity into a more confident person would be inspired instead of be um, competitive, di ba? Or kasi if you feel if you're gonna stop drawing just because somebody is better than you, I don't know if you realize it, but you are competing with that person, di ba? You are. Kasi otherwise, di ba? You stopped, di ba? You stop because you think you will not be able to achieve that level. And who's saying na you have to achieve his level, di ba? So you are even probably unknowingly competing with other people. And if you allow that, you lose all the time. The only path to sure victory is competing with yourself. If you're gonna compete only with your best. Kasi whether you win or you lose, you still win. It's a win-win situation, diba? If you're not, let's say you have drawn your best drawing. If you try to outdo your best drawing, then you will probably learn new things. If that new drawing is not you think it's the first drawing is still better, then you still win. You were able to practice. And then if you actually outdo your best, you think you're more satisfied now with the new piece, then good for you. Congratulations. You win all the time. And the judge will always be you. Diba? You will know what kind of satisfaction you have. You will get as long as you don't compare it to people who are far more accomplished than you are. Or maybe you are comparing your projects to people who are below your abilities. But you think your works are so good because you're comparing it to the worst artist. Then that's self-defeating too. That is false. That is false accomplishment, 'di ba? So whether you compare yourself to the best or to the worst, you lose, 'di ba? Just to make yourself feel good, I'm gonna compare myself to to 5-year-olds. Diba? That doesn't make sense. That's silly. But I don't know. The- So the only surefire person for you to compare yourself with is your past self. Again, aim to outdo only your best. Powerful Comics Man podcast.